YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this, the much anticipated V2 F4U Corsair. Beautiful, 1.2. Look at these flaps, amazing. Beautiful landing gear, always have been. Love that folding action. Okay, so we're gonna fly this on 2200 4S 30C Gen 2 pack here today for our, this is our third flight. Takeoff flaps, it's nice and calm. I don't feel like walking that out there, so we're just doing a little back taxi. Yes, there is thrust reverse on this, but you don't need it so much. Beautiful spring sunset. Probably one of the nicest days of the season. Out of the gear. Oh, so gorgeous. That's 40% throttle, by the way.
Wow.
Look at this, guys. No flaps. Absolutely phenomenal. And then she'll go straight up. Unlimited vertical. Amazing. Takeoff flaps coming in. Pushing the nose down. About 8-10% throttle there just to get the prop spinning. Oh, that is so gorgeous. So folks, had to mow the lawn today. If it weren't for that, I would have been flying. Oh, it was such a nice day. The wind was kind of kicked up all crazy this afternoon. And so now it's just calm. You can hear the birds chirping. Listen to that. Absolute gorgeous. Look at that killer coming over the hill. Just loving the way that this plane is handling this calm. It did good today in the wind, but boy, it will bite you if you're not careful. And when I say bite you, I mean, got to stay in your throttle on your turns, especially if it's windy. Out of the power, or excuse me, out of the flaps into the power. Man, that color scheme just looks so good. We flew on 3200 4S today. See how fast that thing is? It's just crazy. Full landing flaps, slowing it down. Don't forget to get in the power when you're out of the flaps. I'm gonna shed my glasses here. Man, that looks so good. Just over the trees. Give you that high contrast. Over the power line, top of the last power line there. Way out past the eagle killing zone and then over. High speed pass here. Oh, full disclosure, I increased my expo on the elevator only. I kicked it up on all three. Like my lowest setting is 10, my middle setting is like 25, and I feel like I could use another 5. But still 100% rates. Gosh, that is fantastic looking. I feel like I gotta really manage the elevator on this plane because it's such a lifty wing. That's about 30 to 40% throttle. Okay, full landing flaps. Watching out for the flag, right overhead. We're gonna go all the way around, okay? Mm-hmm. Man, it looks so good. Up and over. Nice climb out. And down toward the runway. Huge loop here. There's our critically low. Or an imbalance. Had to come out of the throttle there just to avoid that complaint from the telemetry department there.
Telemetry department.
Man, that looks so good.
It does.
This 1.2 meter Warbird series has been one of our favorites. Long time favorites. I had the V1 and still have the V1 actually. It's just effortless right now with the calm. Takeoff flaps, gear coming down. Just watch those gear. Oh, it's so cool. Watch a steep approach. Fittingly, we've got the so cool, guys. Fittingly, we've got our aircraft carrier landing there. Granted, I wish they would have had reverse thrust on the real one. Okay, takeoff flaps. Here we go, get that tail off. See how much it fights you? It wants to swing the nose over. Okay, full landing flaps. Just letting the inertia bleed off. A little bit of slip there, as you can see. Woo! A little bit fast. Okay, so takeoff flaps, full up elevator. I smoothed out this ground here. It doesn't look very smooth, but I actually dragged a tool along here, so we'll show you some grass hops. Woo! Immediately bounced it over. Ah! Throttle cut's on. Oh no!
Did you break your prop?
I broke my tail.
Oh no.
No, that's just mud.
Oh.
I broke the tail tip off. That is such a mess. So I have to re-glue that. Fortunately, that's gonna be a pretty easy thing to do. Okay, we'll pause and do that and come right back. Okay, real-time action here, guys. Straightening this. This is the third flight, so I can't believe I broke that. I think it was just a 1 in a million shot. I just happened to hit it just right. Okay, a little bit of glue. Show you just how quick you can have this thing back up and running. I mean, you wouldn't even have to put this back on if you're out of the flight field. But in my case, I want to fix it because this is too beautiful to have this thing rolling around and ripped off. Okay, so I'm just going to spread this foam to foam. I'm going to spread this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and pick a straight spot. I'm going to go just like this and line it up. And see it poke through the top. So now I gotta take this, I'm gonna go the other way with it. A little bit of reinforcement. And then if you let that tack up, you'll get even better results. I'm gonna grab a paper towel. The paper towel or napkin just to kind of take off some of the glue. There's a lot on there. Okay. Of course, the one luxury we don't have right now while we film is the luxury of time. Okay. Let's let that come out. Get to a clean spot on the paper towel. Just go in there and floss that little bit of glue out. Take that little chunk of foam off of there. It feels like I didn't get very good alignment on my, yeah, I didn't get very good alignment on there. Okay. So as you can see, that's going to be secured just fine. And if you were to wait a handful of seconds, let's call it 5 minutes, this stuff would tack up. See, it's already kind of working to where it's getting sticky. Okay. And then I'm just gonna take and floss that little teeny bit of glue out of there. There's just a little bit of glue, and we should be good to go. I'm gonna take a black marker and a blue marker, because I don't have a navy marker. I'm gonna go blue for base. I'm gonna go black for top. And there you go, covered up. And then if you guys are really concerned or you're wanting to get flying right away like we are, you're thinking it might come off of there, just take a piece of tape and you can use that piece of tape. Now remember, you're not going to get this tape off without pulling that color off. Okay? So I'm just going to cut it like this. So if you do break that, this will be reinforced even yet a little bit more than what it was before. Stock. Okay, so then I'll just wrap that edge. And then if I play my cards right, I can take and do a checkerboard decal or something like that that goes along here, make that look really cool and intentional, even though it obviously wasn't. And then I just need to trim this tape here, and we'll be golden and ready to rock and roll. And that glue will set up in just a few minutes. Even with it glued like that, it should set up. This foam to foam is good stuff. If you haven't gotten any, you might want to get some. We'll be right back and fly some more. Okay, so we're taking this battery out, definitely pushing it, flying it that long. 3200 3S this time. We'll see how it does on 3S. We'll actually try grass ops on 3S again immediately. The 3200 needs to be pushed almost all the way up to get the center of gravity right, at least as it is with 4S. That was how we tested it earlier, and it actually liked the extra weight. I'm gonna clear my timer, throttle cuts on, verified. We'll go ahead and plug this in. Sun should be over the crest of the hill. Okay, it's giving us a warning because it's confused between 3S and 4S. Okay, so it takes a second. Once telemetry realizes that it's dealing with 3S, then it should be good to go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and meet you out at the runway. All right, so we're back outside. We got 3200 3S in there. We just kind of had our epic fail on the tail, tipping over on us. So just because I haven't flown 3S, we'll go ahead and take off with 3S right now on the hard surface. There we go, absolutely gorgeous. Well, I'm loving the way this flies on 3S here. Plenty of power, 30% throttle there. Full throttle. Ample power, pulls itself out of the hole just fine. Oh yeah, she's got plenty of power. Very good scale plus performance. All right, let's go ahead and try. Let's see how grass ops works here. We have our takeoff flaps on. Okay, so we're good there. Okay, no flaps this time, full up elevator. I'm gonna see if I can get moving. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to actually pull it over here. It's smoother down there. We've got big ruts in our yard. So if you want to show the people, these ruts are not necessarily fair to this plane. So what I'm gonna do is I'll back taxi over there. We've been filling in and actually just drag that today. You can see the scratch marks on the pavement. We're gonna try getting this off the ground. The grass is also cut at like 3 3/4 or 4 inches tall, so it's pretty tall right now, out of the flaps altogether. Carrying some inertia. Oh, there it goes again. All right, so we'll pause. Hey, we're gonna try this a different way. I've done this before for certain planes when I can't get them started, so I'm just gonna let it get up to speed a little bit. That grass is too tall.
That's too tall.
All right, folks, here we go again. It just wants to pivot. So what I gotta do is I gotta find like the super smooth spot and then go. There we go. See, it's got no problem. The landing gear handle it. The plane has plenty of power, even on 3S. But what happens is if you have a ruddy, rough runway, it just likes to pivot over. Man, that thing looks so gorgeous.
Yeah, it does.
Takeoff flaps. Gear coming down. Man, that tall grass got caught up in the prop so bad. It was hilarious. know if you guys could tell that grass out there is about 36 inches tall right now. Well, maybe not quite that. Somewhere in there. Okay, full speed pass, 3S inside. See, it's still got some massive speed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't let that timer confuse you at all. The timer doesn't really matter right now. Uh-oh, uh-oh, what just happened? Man, that looks so gorgeous. Goodness gracious. Takeoff flaps on the top. Let's try Grasshopp's landing. Gear coming down. I'm gonna take this nice and slow. We already did that, right? Mm-hmm. Technically. Let's try it here. Absolutely no problems. Okay, so I think it's mostly just the takeoff because it's so dang rough right here. See, it just wants to pivot. Mm-hmm. But if you have a nice smooth runway, you're gonna have no problems with grass. It's just that we have all these divots and stuff because...
Yeah, and the divots are deceiving. It's like as deep as your, as your foot.
It's enough to catch the 1700 millimeter FMS that we have. You could probably get away with Grasshops on this rough stuff, but even that would want to tip over.
Yeah.
So let's just do a little bit more flying. Oh. I want to prove that it can do it, just so you guys know what you're getting into. But it's like, the plane is super capable, as you can see from that maneuver. And I would say definitely relatively easy to fly plane. It's not hard to fly. Let's show you some safe action. There's safe, okay? Having to hold the down arrow quite a bit, or the down stick a lot. Really looks nice though. Mm-hmm. So I'll show you the no sticks, no hands. See how much it's climbing? I did notice that when we were setting it up. Okay, there's our limited bank right. Limited bank left. It lets you turn, it must mix. Almost acting like it's, no, it's not mixing, it's just that polyhedral wing. So even in safe, we have good control authority. Okay, out of safe. And here we go, down the runway. I like this on 3S a lot, folks. I thought I was gonna be saying, this is only gonna be a 4S plane, but goodness gracious, it's just absolutely phenomenal on 3S. That's good there. Did you hear me hit a bug?
Yep.
That was loud.
It was. Can you do that like 5,000 more times?
Sure. So folks, we've been toying with the concept of removing these power lines, mostly for PPG reasons, for safety. And now that they're gonna be gone, I keep wanting to fly between them. I mean, accidentally doing that. Full landing flaps on the way downhill. On final onto the aircraft carrier. Awesome, awesome sauce, guys. You can land the thing really quick, you can take off really quick. It's practically a STOL plane now. But just, I wanna show you something. When you get up on the mains, you gotta be careful with, even with takeoff flaps. Watch this thing wanna it's gonna wanna nose over. So you better be Johnny on the spot with 2 functions. You better be ready to bring this stick way over. Throttle cut's on. You better be ready to bring it way over, like all the way over. And you also need to be able to almost go all the way up and down just on takeoff. So I'm gonna see if we can try to, if you step back just a little bit, we'll see if we can kind of show at the same time. I'm gonna brace this. It's gonna be an unusual place for me to hold. Throttle cut's off. Okay, because P factor is huge on this one. Okay, so here goes nothing. You see? I don't know if you guys saw that, but I had to go full on the rudder to the left just to keep it up. I didn't have to kick the nose as much because I did a little bit more gradual build up. Oh, and I'm not on 4S either. You good? Mm-hmm. You imagine like how dirty your drawers would be if you saw that thing coming at you in war? How scary that would be.
It would not probably be a very good feeling.
It would not be a good feeling because it would be your last one. Up and over the new flagpole and then down. I love the way this thing flies. I'm happy we flew a second flight because I feel like it's a lot better in a calm.
Yeah.
It still definitely takes a little bit of effort and skill to keep it flying the way you want. Even with the AS3X, which really does have it locked in, I think the 3S is fun. I think it's a good sizing, good pairing. I feel like 4S is just like almost more than it needs. Because that's already like, well, I would say super scale performance right now. How's our lighting doing?
It's all right.
Oh, really? Just all right? That's bad. So probably what we'll do is we'll have this flight, I guess we did crash on it, but still. We'll show these ones first, and then we'll come back and share the windier flights, because I felt like it shows just beautifully tonight. Absolutely gorgeous. Plus the grass wasn't cut at the beginning. So it looked like I was a huge slobbo.
I've been meaning to write a complaint to our yard man.
Don't be afraid to get into the throttle when you come out of the flaps, by the way. You need it. Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear them? The coyotes?
I'll be able to hear the coyotes.
They're over here. That's cool. Over the vampire killing zone. Coming in the aircraft carrier for a late landing. Probably lots of bullet holes in there. We're gonna abort the landing. Man, that looks good.
How is your orientation in real life? Are you good at this light level?
I was gonna say, don't you know my orientation?
Looks different on camera than it does in person, though.
You mean with black? With the black silhouette?
Yeah.
I would say that I've had planes that are a lot easier to tell. But I can tell you this, it's dark and it is hard to tell. And you know what you do when you fly at this time of night and you've got the sun behind you for beautiful views, but also it makes it treacherous. What I do is I look at the change in the state of the aircraft and I make a decision based on where it's going. I don't look at where it is, I look at where it's headed, and I behave based on where it's headed, not based on where I believe it to be. Because you're always dealing with change. And so as an early pilot, you're always looking where you are. Now, I'll be honest, when they're beautiful like this, I'm sitting there staring at it. You know, like I'm in tune with what's going on there, but I have to look ahead of it. And that's what's so nice about flying a territory that you know, is that you can fly, you know where the line is. You just work around it. Like, I know I could crash if I went too low there, but I'm not gonna, because I'm just gonna hopefully grease it in here and not do that. But all I can say, guys, is if you get an opportunity to fly this beautiful bird, don't give it up. Get one for yourself. Follow the links in the video description below. It is a great plane. I think it's a little bit more challenging of a flight than like the June Night. The June Night or the T-28. But let's talk for a minute about these things while the mosquitoes are over there where I was just getting eaten alive. You'll note that we have bug zappers just came on. We have 4 of them that come on. This plane is awesome, okay? I gotta say, I have V1 downstairs in the Marines library with the green on the wings. And I love that plane then, and I still love it now. Flying this on 3S, I feel like it's got every bit as much power as you could need in a 1.2, and then probably 25% more. Now, if we could just get that in all the EDFs, that'd be sweet. But I don't think we're gonna get that until we're to 8S. I feel like 6S has been a huge improvement on EDFs. But right now, this plane is exactly what it needs. I mean, this thing is gorgeous. Let's look at the plane, not me. I just think it is one of the more pretty planes that we've ever seen from E-flite. It's extremely well done. The build was super easy. Everything just goes together. 5 screws. The decals take longer than building the plane. And I've even crashed this and it still looks absolutely gorgeous.
One of my favorites.
I love the way it looks when it flies.
Yep.
When you get a gorgeous pass. I gotta say a couple things, negative things. The straps are in bad spots and they're light duty straps without pull through D-rings or rings. That would make it easier to get in there. I also feel like in the P51, we have the slide in hatch access, which is really nice for the battery loading. I feel like that would have been handy on this plane, but it's certainly not a deal breaker by any means. People harp if I don't bring up the complaints that I had. Those are some of the complaints I have on this. Also, the tail wheel is very plain. For being a beautiful plane, and I'm talking, look at the gorgeous details, and then you got a plain Jane tail wheel. I feel like that would be an area where they could probably improve. Maybe even just a colored hubcap would make a big difference. But to be honest with you, I have planes that have tail wheels that retract. I've never even noticed it in air, which is crazy because you think, wow, that's such a big deal when it's on the ground, but then like in the air, it's just like a non-issue. You don't even notice it.
Yeah.
So love the way this plane flies. Love the way it looks here. Let's give you a little bit of spinach.
Love it. Love the painted tips.
Absolutely gorgeous. Here, we'll even do a reverse. That is a reverse. So just loving the way that this plane came together. I love the way it feels in the air. The elevator is touchy. In fact, let's talk about that. Let's show the people what I did on the elevator. Okay. So my normal configuration for dual rates and Expo. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna scroll over to elevator. Normally I do 5, 10, and 20. So I got 25 here. I'm gonna actually change that to 30. And I'm gonna change this to 50. Wow. That's a lot. So basically I've got about half and about double, about, okay? So I just want like kind of a linear progression, less or more. That's where I want it to be. In fact, I'm gonna take it around once because I still haven't got to critically low. And that's the other thing, I haven't even hardly talked about this, folks. Let's look at the telemetry and see what our pack voltage is. I'm at 13 minutes, but we've been jabbering for a while. 10.5, yeah, we've still got a little bit of juice. And by the way, I gotta say, the Avian ESC with thrust reverse is probably not necessary on this plane, but it really does open up the possibility for flight fields. In a 1.2 meter size class, there's no reason you can't get this thing to fly and take off and land on a, you know, a good sized basketball court, you know, like a, maybe not a half court, but even the width actually would probably be good. Oh yeah, I'm just loving it. The 3200 is the way to go too. 4S 3200 is what I would do. That's what we're gonna recommend in our links. 4S 3200 or 3S 3200. I feel like the 2200 is just a little bit too light in this plane. And so it makes it hard to get your CG right. But man, that is absolutely gorgeous. Are you able to see it over the trees, or do I need to go up a little bit?
No, you're okay.
The bugs are kind of getting us now all of a sudden. Okay, takeoff flaps, landing flaps. We're gonna really slow it down here. Now, there isn't any elevator correction on this plane as per the manual, but you know, it might be kind of nice to have just a hair, like maybe a 2% or 3% down elevator correction on landing flaps, because I feel like I'm riding it on 3S, okay? So let's land it and do that quick. Full landing flaps. Super easy landing plane. You can get it on its mains, no problem. Just letting it bleed off inertia, watching the shadow come through the trees, and there we are. Save some power for thrust reverse. Okay, throttle cut's on. Out of thrust reverse. Okay, so for full landing flap, I'm gonna go like 4%. Look at this. Get out of here. And then for takeoff flaps, let's do 2 and let's make this 3, okay? I mean, it's really limited on what you need. So 2 and 3, let's see how that feels. Takeoff flaps deployed, throttle cuts out. Oh yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Out of the flaps, out of the gear. Full landing flaps. Feel like I need a little bit more still yet. See, it's kind of favoring up. I'm having to push down on the elevator. Now you could just slow down and relax into the flaps. There's my warning. Now on 3S, I gotta probably respect it. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps. See how it's going up? Maybe I got them backward. Okay, full landing flaps coming in, using the rudder to point the nose right down the runway. About 10% throttle there, 20% throttle to keep it in the air. There we go. Okay, throttle cut's on. Let's check this out. I want to just double check something. So in the flap system, when I put 2, I'm going to go from 2 in the takeoff setting. I'm going to change that to like, see that? That's definitely forcing it down. So I'm going to actually go for a little bit more. I'm going to go like 8 and 10, okay? Typical Brian Phillips fashion, we are pretty much out of battery, so let's go ahead and just take off. Yeah. Okay, throttle cuts off, here we go. Oh yeah. There's our warning. Going up and over, out of the gear. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps. Oh yeah, we're good, guys. Thrust reverse was not working because I was into my 9.5 volt warning. I feel like that's a pretty good starting point. Hit back, hit back. That'll cancel that annoying alarm. I think I'm gonna back this to like 6 and then 10, okay? That's where I'm leaving it. So all I can say is the plane is phenomenal. I love the way it flies. I love the way it looks. It'll do grass ops if your grass is smooth enough. Don't blame the plane for my crappy grass out here. I am working on it, by the way. If you haven't flown the V1, get ready for something, guys. If you've already had the V1, you know what to expect, but so much more, because you get the telemetry, you get the AVN ESC for the thrust reverse, which really does, I mean, shorten the length of runway you need. And it's not like it takes anything away from the beautiful landings and stuff. I just feel like it just improves the whole circumstances, you know, of the aircraft. So it's not like you have to use the thrust reverse. If you have a big long runway and you got tons of room, it's not really an issue. So I love the plane. I love the way it looks. I love the way it flies. And as per usual, we have, it's like, no, thank you.
We're gonna have to go walk over there and get it, aren't we? No, Brian.
Yeah, it's like, no soup for you. So definitely get it, guys. F4U Corsair by E-flite, one of the best planes that they've ever had in their lineup. I would definitely highly recommend you get one. In fact, camera crew, would you mind holding this? I got the throttle cut on and tested. Would you mind, here, I gotta flip the flaps actually. The flaps are so huge, they'll actually take up room. There's bugs in here. Huh. No, that's grass. Grass seeds. So yeah, the 3S was really happy with that position. I felt like that was actually a great flight. 3S, 30C, Gen 2 pack, absolutely no problems. I love it. So we're gonna recommend 3200 3S, 3200 4S. So check the links in the video description below. If you're thinking about picking this plane up for yourself, and you don't have a 3200 and you have a 4000, you'd be better off than 2200, I think. I'd rather see you put a 4000 in there because you got ample room. You could probably shift it back just a little bit. But I do think if you're gonna run on 2200, you better get that sucker all the way forward. And if you get it all the way forward, you're gonna have a hard time getting the strap in because then you're only using the front strap. And it's just right under here. So it's actually quite difficult to get to. So other than that, I mean, that's like honestly my only complaint on this plane. Everything else is just superficial, little BS-y things. So beautiful plane. Guys, stay tuned. We're gonna show you one more flight in the wind. Well, actually two more flights on 4S in the wind, 3200 4S and 2200 4S. And I gotta apologize. In our Commander video that we released recently, I accidentally misspoke and said 3S, so we edited out the 3S part because it was confusing to people. And I kept seeing in the comments something about, boy, that's crazy on 3S. And I was like, what are you talking about on 3S? We didn't do it on 3S. And so after a while, I asked somebody and they pointed out a timestamp. So I looked at it, corrected it. So sometimes when we're flying and I say things, I accidentally step on my toes a little bit. So I did in that case. So we edited that little clip out. We try not to do a lot of editing, but just we want to be totally full disclosure with you. We caught our mistake and fixed it. So our apologies for that. The Commander's an awesome plane. 4S is all we've tested it on so far. I'm sure it'd be fine just like this on 3S. It'll do great. But on 4S, these things are rocket ships.
Yeah.
So almost near unlimited vertical. You know, you can get out of trouble like right now. If you're gonna be flying in a lot of wind and stuff, you may wanna go 4S just so you can get out of stalls quicker. So, but love this plane. Stay tuned. We're gonna do those two flights and then we'll have the unbox build and radio setup. And just keep in mind, we did modify the setup a little bit for dual rates and flap. So you've already seen the final dual rates for elevator. Everything else is just the regular Brian Phillips way, 5, 10, 20, dropping the rates down to 90. You'll see that in the unbox build radio setup. So stay tuned. Leave your comments and questions in the comment section below. We'll try our best to get to them. We've been doing so much footage. We're a little bit behind right now. And then also, if you want to help support us, buy from the links and Patreon and PayPal. Thanks so much to our patrons. If you want to become one, there's a link in the video description below. And don't forget to check out brianphillipsrc.com and you can see all of our footage in one spot and also find the links too. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this. We've got the F4U Corsair 1.2 from e-flite. Totally updated. Look at those beautiful flaps. Wait on it. Oh yeah. That is so cool. And of course, we would not be satisfied without a little bit of unscale performance. Let's go ahead and back it out because we can be lazy now. And I'm kind of going with the wind now. All right, so takeoff flaps deployed. Here we go. Holy cow. Did you see how much it wanted to nose over? That was nuts. So I definitely need a lot of trim on the elevator, but man, that looks good. Oh, absolutely gorgeous. It's gonna disappear in the sky, isn't it? Okay, I'm gonna work on trimming. Wow, there we go. Lots better. Man, that thing looks gorgeous. Just absolutely gorgeous. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps. Look at this thing slow down. Oh, yes. So the 4S gets her moving pretty good. Last time I flew this is on 3S. And it was in a Marine's livery. This is on 2200 4S, 30C Smart Pack. I am just barely touching the throttle. I'm at like 15% throttle right now. Look at this, guys. Keeps and maintains altitude okay. A little bit of wind we're dealing with. Just real light takeoff flaps going in. Whoa. Geez, did you see that thermal from the field?
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe how much that thing rocks when you turn. Man, definitely some thermal action going there. Don't need to add the Corsair to the ego killing zone. Jeez. When you give it 100% throttle, she cruises. Very speedy. Okay, I want to see how it feels down the runway. Okay, takeoff flaps only this time. Out of the gear, out of the flaps. Oh yes, I love it. It screams just like the real one. Whoa! Need a little expo on the elevator. It's just touchy. I'm gonna go to my top setting, which I never do, on a Maiden from e-flite. Going on the inside. Little stall turn here. Tons of rudder authority. Takeoff flaps on the way down the hill. Now I'm feeling that wind. A little bit of rudder trim, overshot. Okay, now we're square, a little bit more. Okay. Gonna do a barrel roll here. Remember, this is 90% rates. I only had the stick probably at like 35, 40% of the stick position for the ailerons on that roll. A little bit of rudder mixed in. Getting pushed real violently by the wind. Takeoff flaps. Over the top of the power lines. Kind of really having to actively fly it with the wind kicking me around. There's definitely thermals over that field today. Let's do a big loop. Critically low warning, I doubt it. That thing is cruising, folks. Takeoff flaps. Let's get it back into a more scale flight configuration. That is 30, 40% throttle there. Very light on its feet, even with the highest expo setting. Okay, let's do a more scale looking loop. There we go, beautiful. Up and over, and down the runway. Man, it just does it all, guys. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps. Look at that thing slow down, folks. Look at that.
Jeez.
A lot of turbulence, as you can see, but just beautiful sunshine. I hope that's not a bad backdrop for us for camera work. I think it's gonna be terrible for focus.
It's a little touchy.
Over the power lines. Upside down performance is glorious. The blue is gonna blend, isn't it? Here we go. A lot of chop over the top of those trees. Boy, that thing, you can just get into the throttle and there's just nothing to it. It just gives it to you. Okay, let's try landing I just feel like we're getting close on voltage here. About 15% throttle. 20% throttle full landing flaps there. Oh no, blown off course. Gear going up. Okay, let's go back a few steps. Perfect, right there. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps. About 15% throttle. I'm getting that kind of that false alarm, I think, almost right now. Full landing flaps there. Into the throttle just a little bit. Like carrier style landing here. I'm not gonna take a bad landing. I refuse. We'll keep going around like Babe Ruth. Then we said, I don't like that. I don't like that pitch. I don't like that pitch. Can't get a home run off of it. Okay, full landing flaps here. Woo! Not a very pretty landing, but the thing is, it was a short landing.
It was. And you didn't use thrust reverse.
No, I didn't use thrust reverse at all. I didn't need it. Okay, so full landing flaps. Let's go to the takeoff flaps, and look at that, guys. You got to be Johnny on the spot with your elevator and your rudder. Okay, so we're gonna bring it in here. We'll try a no flap landing here, see how terrible that is. And nope, we're gonna need takeoff flaps just to slow it down nicely. Just a lot of chop over there right now. Beautiful. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but we're getting quite the crosswind. It's about 30 degrees. It shouldn't be a big deal, but this thing is dang floaty. Obviously does all the different characteristics you want. It does the high speed, it does the low speed, and my telemetry is telling me I have about 14.6 volts on my 4S 2200. So you know what that means, camera crew?
I do.
Whoa, I must have caught a rock there. Did you see how much it got janked?
The wind is really upset.
It is. It wind vanes the heck out of that plane. I can tell you that. Okay, full landing flaps here. There we are. Reverse thrust. Now it's dead.
Now you're out.
So I almost feel like this plane needs to have a little bit bigger battery in it, to be honest. I feel like the extra weight would help it to calm down on landings. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna plop out, we're gonna take that 4S 2200, we're gonna put in a 3200, and we're gonna see how it does with that. When your ESC starts singing at you, you know it's out, actually out. Okay, so this is a 3200 4S. Okay, so let's pull this out. We measured and marked the CG and everything. I think this time too, we're gonna just pull off the ordnance, well, drop tanks.
Oh, okay.
Do you have a spot for those? And we're gonna go 3200, and we'll see if we can get this thing to handle the wind just a little bit better. It's flying okay. Woo-wee. We really use that battery up.
Toasty?
It's a little bit toasty. I think you'll be okay holding it though. Okay, so we're just gonna try to slide this in. The Velcro strip on the front is in a tight spot. It's kind of hard to get to. But the thing is, with this, we should be able to just go pretty much right up to the front of the bulkhead there. We're just off the bulkhead, and then we're gonna check the CG. These straps are the mid-grade style, so you can rip them if you're not careful. So be careful. And we did the old shelf liner trick like we've been doing to pretty much every plane we do lately. So I'm gonna see if I can get, yeah, see what I'm talking about. It's just in a tight spot. Okay, so the transmitter's on, throttle cut's on, so we should be good to go to plug in. We're gonna let that warm up for a sec. Pop this in. And we're actually just gonna, we can just leave the drop tanks there, camera crew.
Okay.
So basically what we've got is a bigger battery. My hope is that's gonna get us to settle down just a little bit better when we do our landing. 16.9 volts is what it's claiming for telemetry. And that's one thing that's real nice on these newer models is you don't have to worry so much about the timers. Throttle cut's on and tested. All right, let's see what we can do here.
Are you gonna check CG?
Yeah, we do need to check CG, that's true. All right, so here we go. So the wind is at my right shoulder. So now I'm kind of lined up with the wind. You know, that feels good. I feel like we're even. So 3200 4S might be the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go back over here. We'll get our second flight in. And then we're gonna try to fly this in calm too, because I feel like this plane's gonna really do good in calm too. Okay, throttle cut's off. Well, the wind's calm all of a sudden. Oh, beautiful. Wheels up. Oh yeah. We're out of the flaps now. It's about 50% throttle there. Try high-speed pass here. That's pretty fast.
Yeah, it is.
About 30% throttle here. Man, it goes way up there fast. I want to call it near unlimited vertical. Okay, we're backing off the throttle now. Takeoff flaps. This plane has got such a lifty, floaty body to it. I mean, it'll fly super slow. Man, that looks good up against the trees, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Up and over, and then back down. Let's do some bull flying. It should be a little bit upset over here. So I'm curious how it's gonna handle it. It's a little bit heavier right now with the 3200. We'll go over the junk pile and then back around. A lot of rudder on this turn, get that nose pointed. A little bit of throttle, just keep from stalling. We'll go down low. Full landing flaps now, just to show you how much tighter you can fly the thing. It will do tight areas, but you gotta remember, this is not the type of plane you want to stall when you're close to the ground like that, because it'll bite you. Okay, into the throttle. As soon as you get out of those flaps, you better be on it with the throttle, folks. Okay, we'll go on the inside with this. You good? You're about 4 steps to the right. There you go. Good, 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 good. Up over, and down the runway. So guys, this plane is fast. Cornhole, it kind of doesn't like the cornhole when it's going so quick. Sorry,
Okay.
I got away from you there.
Oh, gotcha.
Man, it's quick though. It's
Yeah,
so
it is.
quick. You can just really cruise. There's the wind again.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's coming this way. Flying into the wind now. What the heck? How are we into the wind there? Look at the windsock.
I know.
That is so confusing. So yeah, you can fly it really fast or you can fly it really slow. Watch how long it'll take me to get back. And still flying though. Look at that thermal action, goodness gracious. Okay, into the takeoff flaps only. Okay, try to keep it nice and flat. Keep into the throttle. On the turn, don't get bit, guys. Don't get bit. Corsairs have a tendency to trick people into thinking that they're comfortable flying slow, and then they end up not flying so much anymore. The AS3X has this thing locked in, and with the power, gosh, it is just amazing. Watch this hawk. Or no, that would be a vulture. Get out of my airspace, vulture. That vulture could tear this plane in half, you know.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Let's go ahead and thermal with him. Watch this. We're gonna thermal with the vulture in the Corsair. Nope, we're not gonna thermal. Gravity said no. Right over the Eagle killing zone. So yeah, this 3200 4S has been better, I feel like. And also the ordnance being off of there, I think it helps it just kind of calm down a little bit.
True.
I like the way it flies better this way. Kind of a lot better. Takeoff flaps for the turn. Out of the takeoff flaps into the power. Over the tree line, down the runway, full speed pass here. Probably presentation style. It's fast.
It is fast.
It's a lot faster than I remember the other one being, but there again, we were flying those on 3S. Mm-hmm. That was before Horizon had come out and said, yeah, 4S is fine. Even though a lot of guys were doing 4S, Horizon hadn't formally mentioned that it was okay. And they were suggesting, I think at the time, replacing the ESC. This has a 70 amp ESC. You're gonna be by design at 4S. Man, I love that reflection you get on the canopy. Isn't that something else?
That's really pretty.
Lots of rudder here, lots of rudder, lots of throttle also. You guys may notice I'm not risking it on the turns like I might normally. This plane, it flies rock solid until it doesn't. And you have to keep in mind we have crosswind and confused wind right now. Okay, so about 50% throttle here, doing a loop. Nice big huge loop. Okay, out of the throttle. And we'll turn that into a figure 8. And over the power lines and back to us, back home. 30% throttle. Over the top and back down, inside pass again. Don't want to cut the grass. Finally got my belt for my 0 turn so I can actually cut this grass like it needs to be. And coming downhill, full landing flaps. Check this out, watch it slow down. Oh yes, love it. Love flying a plane with a wide flight envelope, and this 3200 is just really serving it so much better. I feel like the 2200 was definitely a little bit on the small side. I felt like it left us just a little bit desirous in the tail heavy area. I would say that if you're gonna fly on 2200, you better get that sucker all the way up inside the front. I think this 3200 is a better size class. In fact, I'd probably prefer a 4000. Because by the time you get it and you do a couple of those climb outs, you're gonna be all about flying this more. Amazing, guys, amazing. Feel like I'm losing some juice there. Telemetry's not giving me any warnings. And we've got guns. Awesome. All right, so let's go up here and loiter for a second. Camera crew, if you wanna kind of come over here, it feels like the wind is coming from our right to left, so we'll try a landing the other direction. Probably go out where run down the main road and then jump over the power lines. Okay, this is a long approach. You don't have to have a long approach with this plane. Okay, full landing flaps there. Reverse thrust, even though I rolled. So, couple thoughts about this plane. First of all, it's fast and it's slow. That's good. I like that. In terms of controllability, it's very controllable.
Somebody's having a really good afternoon.
Or they're having a battle. I don't know. Let's take a closer look at it. I definitely have to say that it's been a long time since I flew an F4U Corsair. Okay, so in the turns with confused winds, this thing will slip out from under itself. So you need to be on it. The good news is you have so much power, you can get out of any trouble unless the trouble happens to be the ground or a house or power lines. So I love this plane. I loved it before. I still have it and I still love it. And I love this now. I think it's a great plane. I think the thrust reverse is probably more of a side note on this plane than it is on the other planes, because I feel like the landings can be made so slow with this aircraft. And also, please keep in mind, we're gonna try to get a flight in calm before we actually publish this video. But if we don't, because the weather goes to, you know, where, and it's terrible, then this will be the flight you get. But the thing is, like right now, the wind is at my face. Okay, it's coming like this. And look where the windsock is. Just to give you an idea of how different and confused everything is. It's coming from this way now.
Yep.
And it's just like all over the place. And then there's thermal actions and just lots of confusion in the atmosphere. So when you have flight like that, the easiest way, if you're a new pilot, to handle that is to keep your speed up. And if you have to fly slow, keep in the flaps, but be Johnny on the spot with your throttle. Don't go into a turn without throttle. Get a little bit of throttle, get that thing powered through, pull it through, okay? You have to keep that plane flying. And what happens is if you're moving like this and then the air around it catches up to it, then you're gonna stall. And it's got nothing to do with the plane, and it's got everything to do with the environment. So I must say, also, the tall landing gear, look at this. Even with my extremely tall, unkept grass, yeah, you could totally grass ops this. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to forward thrust. But you also have to be careful about nose overs when you have unkept grass. But just to give you an idea, you can definitely get it moving. And I just happen to have some bumpy soil here.
Yeah.
So you should be totally fine on grass. Maybe after I cut this, we'll try to get some grass ops. We had a couple of spots we fixed here. So we're just in the process of waiting for a belt so we can fix a zero turn, so I can try to grade that out and make it nice and smooth. And then we'll go ahead and do some grass ops with a lot of different planes. But for now, the F4U Corsair, love the way it went together. Super easy build. The hardest part of it was putting the decals on. I mean, and I'm serious. There was only 5 screws, and all 5 of them went in without a battle.
Yep.
So that's always nice. The wiring was super easy. I didn't even read a manual until we got to the point where I had to hook up the elevator control horn. And that was the only time I had to refer to the manual. And then, of course, we looked at the manual to see what size battery E-flite had recommended on this one. So definitely thumbs up. It's exactly what you expect. There's no catch. It's not like they've taken out something that you loved and replaced it with something you hate. This thing is good. It's just as good as it was before. If it's better, okay? It's better, and you're gonna love it. So I don't often say this, but buy this plane, you'll like it. If you have any of the other 1.2 meter Warbirds, you're gonna love this one. It's equally as good, if not better. Between this and the T28, I like the T28 better because I like the way it flies a little bit better. But this is definitely in that arena, okay? So just ranking wise. P51, probably somewhere in the middle, I would say. You know, it just depends on the day. Dead calm, sunset flight, no thermal action, no confused winds. This thing is gonna fly on rails. I mean, it almost flies on rails even in that environment. So I think this is gonna do really good in that environment. I wanna try it in a dead calm condition and just see how it does, because man, this thing flies flat out so fast. The other thing is I did have quite a bit of trim, and let's talk about that for a minute. I'm trying to get in the shadow here. Yeah, 28 minus on this, and then 84 minus on the elevator. That's a lot. So you may have to take my word for it because it's so dang bright out here. And by the way, I don't talk about this often, but I can always see my screen, even in this bright sun. I mean, it's direct sun. Even in the sun without shade on it, I can see it. Now, if you're reflected in your eyes, you can't see it. But if I come into the shade, it's very easy to see. On camera, it doesn't always pick up that way. So if you're looking into an NX8, the screens have been very good. And then also in the cold, when it's like minus 14 degrees and we're out here filming, the old liquid crystal displays were really slow to refresh. This does not do that. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Been very, very happy with the NX8. It's been amazing. One thing you want to do if you're getting the NX8 is think about maybe getting the bigger pack. They do chew through the battery pretty quick. If you keep the 2000 milliamp hour, which is just one cell, this is 3 cells. So, and they charge on a USB port, and I've got a magnetic charge port on there, but you can do whatever you want. Big thing is the 6000 gets you runtime into the weeks instead of runtime into the days. So, but I mean, it's nice because you can shut this thing off, put it in the car, plug it into your cigarette lighter, you know, with your adapter that plugs in your cell phone. It's pretty easy stuff. So that being said, definitely worth having, guys. Stay tuned. We're gonna show the unbox build and radio setup next, or maybe after another sorties, depending on kind of how the weather treats us. But thanks for watching, guys. If you want to help support our channel, buy the plane or planes or batteries or transmitters, chargers, whatever it happens to be, from the links in the video description below. Also check out www.brianphillipsrc.com for a full suite of all the stuff we've done. Might be laid out a little bit easier for you to find what you're looking for. Maybe you want to find this and you want to look at the old and the new side by side. You can do that real easy there, or you can just search YouTube. We don't care which way, whatever's easier for you. We just want to be accommodating to you, our wonderful audience here on YouTube. So thanks also again for being a great audience. Thanks to our Patrons. If you want to become a Patreon to help support us, I think we're up to like just under 30 Patreons right now, which is great. So that really helps us a little bit. Every little bit helps. And also PayPal, a couple times a month, people throw a couple bucks our way, which is really appreciated. But we never expect any of that stuff, guys. Just do what you can when you can. And the thing is, really what we want you to do is buy the planes, because that's what's fun. That's what we want to bring you into this whole sphere of influence, is we want you to be flying these planes because they are so much fun. And we love it, and we want to bring that joy and experience into your lives. So if you're sitting on the couch and you're thinking, man, you know, I'm never going to be as good as Brian, or I'm never going to be as good as that guy, or I'm never going to be as, you know, whoever. Remember, if you're never going to be as good, it's going to take you a couple years to be good. Let's just get right down to it. But a couple years from tomorrow is a couple years from tomorrow. A couple years from 6 months from now is 2.5 years away. Okay? So don't wait until 6 months from now to start what you could start today. And just go all in, and you'll get it. You'll have it in no time. A couple months down the road, you'll be flying, enjoying it, learning, crashing a lot, fixing a lot, but still really enjoying the process. If you're not new to the hobby and you were part of the hobby back in the 80s and 90s, and you still have crystals and long antennas that pull out like this and all that gear, and, you know, starters that you have to hook up to your moped battery, and you're just like, I don't want to have to start from square one. Don't worry. It's easier than it seems. It's cheaper than it looks. This stuff is expensive when you buy all of it at one time. I get it. But the reality is, you used to spend a lot more than you do on this, and you were getting a 4-channel transmitter. You're getting an Airtronics 4-channel, 5 if you were lucky, okay? And then you were talking no stabilization, no safe, no auto leveling, no none of that. We didn't even show the safe on this. Eesh, we should probably show safe. This has safe, auto leveling, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, the technology is so much more advanced, and I've got like 109 models in this thing, okay? So you can put tons of planes in one transmitter. So it's not like the old days. You don't have to buy a crystal set every time. You can get a bind and fly, have that thing built in, you know, a couple hours on a long build, and you could be flying. You could have 4 or 5 planes, a couple $1,000 invested, and you will really be set to, I mean, you could be like really into the hobby, don't you think? So, and you don't have to spend all that at once either, by the way, guys. So if you're looking to get back in the hobby, you need a transmitter, do your search, figure out what you like, come back to Brian Phillips RC, validate what you believe, and then you can buy from the links. We'll help you through the process. Or get it ready to fly. You can start from scratch with ready to fly equipment, see if you really like it. Believe me, when you start flying, you're gonna be like, this is awesome. It's easier than I remember. The new technology makes it easier to fly. It's more fun to fly. I wanna get back into it. Then you can go and buy something like this. You can buy a nice charger. You can start getting a couple smart batteries when you buy a plane. Next thing you know, you're gonna have everything you need. All you gotta do is buy a plane once in a while. So it really does help. So we're here to help you through that process here at Brian Phillips RC. Leave your questions and comments in the comment section below. We'll do our best to get to them as soon as we can. And thanks for watching. YouTube's Brian Phillips. Look what we have here. The much anticipated re-release. And I am super excited for this one. I still have my V1 sitting in the basement. Oh yeah, baby, look at this. Right there, F4U Corsair. Now this one is in the blue livery. It's navy livery. Love the way it looks. This is kind of the more conventional look. The last one we got from e-flite had a Marines livery on it, which is a little bit different. Had some green stripes on the wings. This one's back to the regular navy blue, which is pretty cool. So we're gonna take this thing out, we're gonna unbox it, and I already know it's gonna be a great plane. If you can grab that front corner there, help me. Okay. Oh yes, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. 1.2 meter of pure delight. Here we go. Oh yes, so gorgeous. Super excited to see this thing. It is a big box. This is of course a bind and fly. F4U-4 Corsair. It's got beautiful retracts. They're gonna swivel when they go up into the wing cavity. 4-bladed prop. Just love the way this thing looks. And then we should be outfit with all the new latest and greatest electronics. So I can't wait to see it. And we're gonna get right into it. So of course this is 1220 millimeters. It's in the 1.2 meter size class. And it's one of the popular Warbirds series that e-flite has released. And so we have experienced, I think, all the Warbirds now. And I don't know if they're all re-released, but boy, I am super excited for this one. And I know you guys are too. Okay. It's a long box. Don't think you even have to put the wing together. It's all one big piece. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna set this thing up on the ESC. Oh, this has the Spectrum Avian Light 70 amp ESC. Nice. Which means we should be able to do reverse thrust. So we'll show you how to do that here in the radio setup at the end of the video. As per usual with Horizon products, we've got good high quality manuals, documentation here. Well, I guess that's opened. So there you go. You get updated manual here if you need it. Very cool. This is the part we're gonna look at. We should have really good telemetry on this, which is nice. You're gonna know how much battery voltage you have left while you're flying. Making timers a thing of the past, although I'm probably still gonna set one. Beautiful painted tips. I believe this is 10.58, yep. Same one they used on the P51 on the June night, and same on this. Now it looks like this one comes with a couple of different liveries you can put on there. That's pretty sweet. Let's see how I don't remember seeing this on the one we got, the V1. Oh, those are numbers. Okay, so you can number them differently. That's pretty cool. And all right, continuing onward. As usual, the packaging is second to none on e-flite. We've got foam protecting the foam. We're gonna pay special attention to the details on this thing because it's gonna be good. Foam all over the place. Oh, I gotta cut this out, don't I? We got some drop tanks over here. I don't usually leave the drop tanks on my F4U Corsair just because I don't think they add much to it, in my opinion, but some people are gonna really like that. Oh yes, let's look at this. That clear tape, I'm not a big fan of that, but this is a beautiful, huge flap. Look at this. I don't ever do this, but I'm gonna do it today. Oh, love it.
That's cool.
Love the way that opens, so cool. And then it looks like the decals might need to be pressed down a little bit on here, which is okay. That looks so cool. Really excited. Pitot tube here. And then of course the wires have to go up into the wing. These 90-degree, these retracts come down and then fold. So really, really cool. So we're just gonna lay this out of the way and we'll come right back to that. What else do we have in the box? We've got a nut and bolt sack here. So see what's going on. Okay. Comes with a bind plug, which is sort of strange. You don't really need a bind plug anymore. Okay, and then we've got our tail feathers. Everything comes out. It should be a pretty uneventful unbox. The control arm is on the top, which is a little bit different. Super stout, really resilient. Really super even movement. It does look like a pinch hinge still, which there may be embedded hinges in that. I can't tell because of the opaque finish on it. Okay, so pulling the foam blocks out. Oh yes. Ooh, it's so beautiful. This is a big box. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's so gorgeous. Oh, yes. Absolutely gorgeous. Super plain. Finish is good. Not lots of these little bumps like that. That is so cool. Got good trimming around the motor, simulated motor. This here's plastic, which is good in case you have a nose over. 4 screws to receive the wing. Should be a pretty easy build. And then of course the tail dragger, and there is a tail hook, simulated tail hook, really cool. And I like the pilot on this one. Looks like the instrument cluster is real simple. And then this gets you inside. Oh yeah, AR631. Looks like the A330 servos, pretty standard on this size class. Got the warning, don't chop your fingers off. Nice big access hole for all the wires from the wing. Okay, so we're gonna lay this down. The build on this plane is gonna take very little time.
Yeah, that's a low piece count.
Really excited about that. I think we're out of pieces already.
I think so.
We are. We don't even have to put the tail halves together. That's so cool. So guys, when looking at a model airplane, I know some of you guys don't necessarily have such a big gripe with longer builds, but we just got done doing a build the other day and it just took forever. And you know, it's, for us, we're so busy, life is so busy. And you know, a lot of you guys are in the same situation. Some of you aren't, but for us, we love the quick builds. The quick builds are our favorite. We get them built, we get moved on, and then we can fly them. Because really, at the end of the day, I'm all about flying these planes. Building the planes is fun, but I mean, look at the piece count, guys.
Yeah, I know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 if you count the bolt sack. That is pretty low piece count. So we're gonna jump straight into the build today.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. This is gonna be so quick. Oh, that's so nice. I love it when they're fast. Okay, so this is for the, so we had 7 if you include this. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then a spare for 14. That is crazy. 14 pieces 15 if you count the bind, 16 if you count the staple.
Do we have to count the decals?
The decals, no, we're not gonna count the decals. That'll sort of throw off the count. That'll make it less impressive. But no, super impressed with that. Yeah, awesome build. Okay.
Yep.
So we're gonna use this robot plane stand just because of the shape of the wing. Probably be nice to have that. First things first, we'll pop the canopy. Now you guys can follow along at home if you are thinking about doing that. That's pretty common for people watching Brian Phillips RC. You want some help putting your plane together, we'll help you set up your radio. We're gonna be setting it up on an NX8. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's only one screw on this tail. Goes through here. It's accessible from the top. Okay. I remember this one was a little bit tricky to get in because of the nature of the rudder. I'm just gonna turn it off to the side. That gives you access to slide this in. Now just be gentle and do this part slow so you don't crush your foam, because that's one thing I remember doing is crushing the foam. And I think we need a 2mm, but I'll verify that here in just a second. So we need there's not actually there's not a spare. There's 4 on the main wing and then 1 on the tail. So if there were ever a plane that you could take apart for transport, goodness gracious, this would be it. Okay, so let's try 1.5 actually. I think that's 1.5. Nope, it is 2. 2mm. All right, folks. So if you guys are in the mood for flying a beautiful scale Warbird replica, this is definitely going to do the trick. We've had a lot of good models lately, and there's so much more to come too here on Brian Phillips RC. We hope you guys will be with us. See how it's starting to crush? That's when you know you're done. Okay, so now the other thing I'm gonna do while I'm here, because it's convenient, I'm gonna show you the shelf liner trick. Now you don't have to do this. Normally people will take their battery, whatever size this happens to be, a 50C 4S 2200. Yes, this is 3 and 4S compatible. You take that Velcro, you stick it on there, and then you go to town. Your battery will never move. I've always found it hard to re-situate the batteries, and I've also found that I don't like the fact that when you do that, you're married to that Velcro position on the battery. But you know, they don't come out. Okay, so this is shelf liner. This is a trick we do oftentimes when we're building these planes. You actually don't need this much Velcro to do this step, but if you use the whole thing, then you get the most flexibility. And so we've just been kind of making a habit of doing this because it's been working so dang good. So you peel this off, you find your shelf liner, you stick it on there, and then you're done. Then you cut it. Now this shelf liner is not included in the bind and fly, but you know, you don't actually even have to do this at all. For a long time, I didn't even do anything in this step, but I've just found that it works so dang good, because then basically your battery will get in there, get strapped. This is the mid-grade straps. They're the kind that you can rip if you try hard, but then we got a good plywood base there. Okay, so we'll just throw this in there. Camera crew is trying to give you guys a good angle, and that's gonna hold nicely. And then I don't know what's about to happen here. It's just so strange. I feel like this safety label, you know, maybe pour, oh shoot, look at that, weird. I also won't cut my hand because I'm gonna be very careful. Couple safety concerns to watch out for, guys. If you're new to the hobby, first of all, I don't know if this would be a great first plane. Probably would be okay as a second or third plane, no problem. Just keep in mind there's a lot of P factor on this plane, meaning when you give it throttle and it's going to take off, it's gonna wanna flip on you. And you have to be prepared to deal with that. So, 2 safety issues. Safety issue 1, props, when they start and you're not ready and you touch them, you get cut. So be careful, don't do that. And then the second factor is having to do with lipos. Lipo safety, don't burn your house down, don't start fires, be careful, use a smart charger. You have the best chance at success. Don't over discharge, don't overcharge. Don't charge too fast. Don't leave them sitting for years unattended, okay? If you're gonna discharge them, that'll give you the best chance at safety. And smart batteries will automatically discharge if configured properly. And then you basically don't have to worry about that, which is really, really nice. And to be honest with you, in our stage of life, I don't want to worry about stuff like that. It's just, you know, we got enough going on. Let's check this out real quick. Okay, so details like this are why we love e-flite. Look at this. Beautiful. Painted, everything, ready to rock and roll. Gosh, we're not even gonna look at the instructions for this plane. It's so easy to put together. Okay, I feel like that's probably about right. There you go. Look how perfect that fit is.
Nice.
I mean, seriously. And some of you guys are thinking, but Brian, what if that thing starts and cuts your hands? Well, I'm gonna be careful and I'll show you the different safety measures we take as we go. Screwdriver into the hole and tighten this. So if you're inexperienced, leave the prop off. Even if you're experienced, the manufacturer's recommendation would be to leave the prop off or take the prop off if you're gonna be working on the plane. All right, so flip the plane upside down. Let's go ahead and get the wing on. So there is a big bundle of wires, okay? I'm gonna have to cut that zip tie to get everything through. So we'll grab some side cutters. You may need a couple of supplemental zip ties and things here and there if you wanna try to tidy up your wiring. Be nice if I didn't have to cut this, but I think I'm gonna have to. Okay, so just be careful you don't clip your wires. So there we go, got that cut. So far, the only tools we've used is side cutters, 2mm driver, like this, 2mm. You could easily use just a regular Allen set or whatever, just a little bit slower. Okay, so now that we have this done, I'm gonna pull those wires just to kind of get them freed up. Don't yank any out. If you want to do a close visual inspection, make sure you're color for color, brown to brown, orange or yellow to yellow, orange or yellow to orange or yellow. Then this thing keys into the front and then slips in like that, okay? That's what we're gonna do now. Should be pretty easy. So obviously you have to guide your wires through the hole. Pretty simple setup. And then you can drop this in. Now remember, this one was one of those planes that had a pretty tight squeeze. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna flip it over before I mount it. Okay, now why am I doing that? Because I wanna make sure my wires got through, okay? See this? See my wires? They're not free. That's why you gotta do that, okay? There's one more down there that's fighting us. Being super gentle laying that down. Okay, look what I'm talking about, guys. All these wires, you want them to feed through. There we go. And once you have them fed through, this should drop down. See how it dropped down? Now we have good purchase. You see how it's dropped down here? We didn't the first time, right? Now watch this. This is where I'm gonna hopefully not eat my words, but I remember we fought this on V1, these 4 screws.
Did we?
Yep, I remember it. Probably because we had our wires trapped. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. That is so awesome. Okay, so looking for crushing, I see crushing. Looking for crushing here or here. Okay, crushing. And then I go for even torque. Okay. And of course the back 2 are the ones I most concern myself with because they're the longest on the lever arm. If those are aligned, these are gonna be aligned. And that's so easy, so easy. Love it.
I could have built this plane.
Yeah, you could have easily too.
Without the directions.
Yeah, for sure. And granted, you've seen a few of these get built.
I have. It's true.
Firsthand. Okay, all right, good. So now we're gonna go ahead and put these tools over here because we're pretty much done with them, which is awesome. Oh yeah, it's looking so good already. I love looking at this plane. It's one of my favorites.
Yep, same.
All right, so here we go. Let's actually try doing this. Let's see if we can get away with this. Let's see if I can lay it like this so you guys can see good. I don't know if we're gonna get so lucky. It feels like it's gonna slip.
Yeah.
Shoot. I was hoping I could get that so you guys could get a better view of it. But I guess for now we'll just have to do this. Okay, so in order to plug these in, you wanna have these cables pulled up so that all the slack is out of the hole, okay? Then this of course comes from the ESC. So flaps, this has gear, so gear would be on channel 5, so this flap should be on channel 6. Okay, so we'll plop that into channel 6. Looks like gear is on channel 5 if it's historically the same as other aircraft from E-flite. So I'm just kind of untangling as we go. It's gonna go to channel 5. Okay, and then channel 2 must be ailerons. Okay. So we're gonna plug that in. Now, how do I know that? From building a lot of these, is how I know that. Also, I don't want this to get tied up in there, and I don't wanna fight this every time I load a battery, so I'm gonna probably just take and try to do like a half twist on this. See, that's the long one. So I'll just kind of wrap that under the bunch, stuff it down in the hole, down in the hole, down in the hole, just real briefly. Stuff it down in the hole, just like that. And then this, I think I'll just, I don't even know if I want to do any more than that. I feel like that's going to come under here. And this is the elevator. So now we have to do mechanical attachments back there, but we're going to wait until the plane is powered up. Okay, so just kind of pushing that in, make sure we've got good purchase and everything's lined up. These labels can get in your way, so make sure you move those out of the way and everything is nice and kosher by the time you're ready to rock and roll. I'm gonna throw one zip tie on there. Just one baby zip tie is the only one. Now, if you don't have a zip tie, you use twisty tie, you use tape, whatever. You don't even have to do this step. This is just to tidy things up. Okay, so I'm gonna feed that one zip tie through. Then reattach there. We'll just kind of pull it down into that cavity. That'll kind of keep things out of the way while we're getting in and out with the batteries.
And if you do it now, it's done forever.
Hypothetically, it's done forever until the next time.
Yep.
So there you have it, guys.
Wow.
That's pretty simple. And if you don't have zip ties, if you're careful about the way you cut that, you could reuse that zip tie. The one that came with it. I hear an airplane outside at low altitude. I wonder what they're doing. Maybe they're crop dusting. Be kind of a weird time of year for crop dusting. What was that pop? I don't know. Oh, it snaps in.
Oh.
What the heck? That's weird.
It is.
Let's try. Did I do the wrong one?
I was just gonna ask if there was
Maybe I grabbed the wrong one.
a left and right.
It's not broken. Sound like it broke. Like I said, I don't plan on using these. Okay, so maybe there is a right and a left. I don't know. I thought they were ambidextrous, but maybe they're not. Either way, no big deal, so we'll just go ahead and go with it. So now, the next step for getting this beauty ready to fly would be, we have to decide what we're gonna do for stickers, and we have to do radio setup, okay? So let's look at what the choices are. I like the Navy markings. I like the Marine markings. I like them both.
But V1 was Marines, right?
V1 is Marine, so we should do Navy this
Yep,
time.
that's my vote.
Okay, so just looking at this right here, looks like the big Navy, that's actually not the big Navy there, that'd be too big. So looks like we gotta do a small Navy. So this Navy here, and And then VMFT goes under that. And if you see that airplane,
I don't hear it now.
yeah, it must have gone to the next field. We saw an airplane at low level earlier. Ooh, these decals are coming off crappy. See? Really tough. Okay, so we had to check out that airplane. It's way up there. We were gonna film it, but it's way up there. Okay, so you see I got that separated with an X-Acto knife. There we go, okay. So they're good quality decals. They just cut too deep when they did that in the vinyl. They feel like they're vinyl. Okay, so that's straight on the bottom of the stars and bars. Okay, so here we go. Oh yeah, that looks so good. Perfect match on the collar.
That's really good.
And then fingernail through the little relief. I want to get those panel lines transposed through as much as possible. Okay.
That's really nice.
And then what's the VMFT? Okay, VMFT. Ooh, this one feels like it might. Yep, it peeled. Why does it say VMFT dash? Uh-oh.
Is there, they both have a dash.
Yeah, but there's no dash up there.
On there, no, there's not.
I don't know if the dash is supposed to be there. I guess I'm gonna, is that supposed to be VFMT and then like the number? Because look, they give us little numbers here too.
There is. Ooh.
So let's check the instructions real quick for that part. We usually don't do decals as part of the build, but we're gonna do.
But I don't see any instructions on
decals. CG's at 73 plus or minus 3, so 70 to 76.
There is a picture on the back of the box. Should we check the
Yeah, let's look at the other pictures. I'm thinking we're gonna have to cut that little dash off. Looks like they did navy on all these ones.
Can't see it on that one.
How about the end?
Nope. So there's big numbers. There's big numbers here.
310. 310's the number then. Okay, I'm just gonna cut this dash off. And if we find out that that's like some huge like technical gaff, I'll keep it. See, I'll just like literally stick it back down onto the backing and hang on to it just in case.
Then that should be centered under the, yeah.
Okay, just like that. Okay, and then the other navy goes on the other side. See if we can get that edge lifted. Ooh, there we go, there we go. With the knife, real easy. All right, so I'm gonna just rotate this so that I can get to it on the other side. Same scenario. Whoa, what the heck happened to the navy? It's shorter. The Y, did it get cut off? I feel like it got cut off weird. Maybe it's in my head. Okay, so I want this to line up with the bottom of the stars and bars, right? Mm-hmm. Does that look pretty good there? Mm-hmm. Okay. Huh, that's so weird. I felt like that looked like the Y was wrong. Okay, that looks fine, okay. Mm-hmm. So now we just need to do that other VMFT. So we get a lot of different planes that have a lot of different liveries. And some of you guys really get into putting the decals on too. You go to a place like Cali Graphics or whatever and order graphics, and that's cool. We've actually made some custom a time or two, But it is so much work. Okay, so right here, centered, and then how much gap did I do? That's about right. Okay, so now we need to go to the navy on the wingtip on the bottom, right?
The big
That's
navy.
the big one, and it needs to be outboard portion of, okay, let's see how this goes. Oh, goodness gracious. This plane is a little bit awkward to hold because there's stuff everywhere when you have the drop tanks on, and there's like just no great place to hang on to it. So just be careful when you flip it. Okay, navy's gonna be over here. And there's lots of ribbing on this wing, so I'm curious to see how this is gonna work. My guess is it's probably gonna go down, but we'll have to be careful to try to walk it down so we don't get a bunch of rippling. The vinyl stretches nicely usually. This stuff is hard to separate. I still like the high quality vinyl decals though, and definitely better than water decals. There we go. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right, so navy.
So the Y is almost all the way at the end.
Yeah, I know. And then are we gonna align it with the top of that servo horn, I guess? So I wanna go lengthwise so I get all those bumps and details through. And I'm just kind of tugging in the center. And just working my way down so that the vinyl lays into the detail. This is a perfect color match.
Yeah, it is.
We don't often get perfect color matches like this, but this is really good. And the white is dark. Stands out really good. Love it. Okay.
Wow. Very nice.
Looks good, looks good. Okay, so then the next thing we gotta do is the numbers. Okay, so the numbers are on the front by the cowl, right?
Yep, and then I believe on the wing tips, at least on one side.
Try with the canopy. It's slick. Okay, so let's lay that down. You mean on the tail?
There's several spots where there's numbers.
Yeah, it's on the nose, on the wingtip. There's nothing on the vertical stabilizer? That's weird. I figured it would be for sure. Okay, so 310 goes here. Gosh, that's hard to read. So it looks like you can use whatever number combination you want. So 310 it is. So 310, please come off of there easy, because 3 is a hard number to separate. It's got all the turns and contours. And I want to get it right. You know what? I'm going to try peeling the backing, the whole backing. See if that helps a little bit. No. It's going to make me work for it. So 310. No. No. That's not going to work. See, once I separate that, you should be able to grab the plastic. See? There we go. Man, that stuff is really tough. There we go, there we go, there we go. Okay, good, good. So I'm gonna just work this off of here. There we go, there we go. And I don't wanna overdo it. I don't wanna take more than I have to take. So we're gonna need, let's double check my number count here, camera crew. 310 means I need a 3, a 1, and a 0 in the big size. And it looks like the big size is the one that's on the side of the cowl, and then the wing is the biggest. Oh,
Yeah.
you're right, just the wing.
And you're on the biggest right now that you're peeling.
Yep, that's right. So I'm just gonna keep working. Peel that back so it doesn't accidentally drop down. Yeah, this is definitely the right move right here. I can see better now too.
Yep. Go real slow.
It's actually going pretty good now. Ooh, the little ones are gonna be kind of messy. I'm just having fears that it's gonna rip one of the numbers on the way off if I'm not careful. Or get stuck down to the face of it, you know? Of course, I wanna get it done so I can look at it.
Almost always easier to like reverse weed vinyl like that.
Okay. Man, just a lot of detail there. Okay, so the 310 must be the one that goes on the cowl. This size. And then is it on both sides? Because we have 1 through 5, then 0, then 0. Yeah, 1 through 5 plus 0. Okay. So yeah, so if you're wanting to do certain numbers, you won't be able to do it. Because there is no 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. But you could do different numbers. So if you wanted to try to make the whole squadron or whatever, you could do that potentially, depending on what your squadron numbers need to be. I'm sure some of you guys will know all the history of all the numbers, and you'll put it in the comments below, because we always appreciate you guys doing that. Add a little value to the experience for somebody else that's into that too. Okay, so big ones on the wingtips, right? On the one wingtip.
One wingtip.
And it looks like we have get out of jail free cards, so that's good. We tried to peel this one and it didn't peel. We'll just, for grins, we'll try the other one. Nope, it also doesn't want to peel. Come on. Okay, so I finally got an edge. That was a pain. Okay, so 310. So this is the big one, and this is for the wingtip. So I'm gonna line it up like this. I'm just gonna pick an arbitrary spot that looks about centered. I'm gonna use the ribs as an alignment point. And I'm gonna stick it down like this so that this part's flat. Okay, so 310. Watch this one come off in like 1 second. So it's all the way through. Goodness gracious. Okay. So we're gonna put the one on. Ooh. The alignment of this is a little bit tricky, because you want it to be just right on. But if you get this one wrong, you're gonna know. It's gonna show up and you'll see it. 3, 1, 0. Hope my spacing is about right. So if you guys remember on the F-16, 70 millimeter, and on the UMX, you have to put on the stars. Oh, so terrible. That was like the worst part of the build. Unless you're into putting decals on, and then that's the best part of the build. But for me, I just want it to look really good when it's done.
We did custom decals on the 80. didn't we?
What? The Airbus 380?
No, the F-16.
The F-1680?
That's the most recent,
oh yeah, that's right.
recent custom decals we've done.
Yeah, but they weren't vinyls or anything. We just kind of made them.
Oh, that's right. We just printed
them.
those. Yeah, we didn't do vinyl.
We printed them and then we covered them.
That's
it
right.
worked out good though. Okay, so 310. Now we need to do 310 on the nose. So we'll just go ahead and do that. In fact, we'll do that and come right back. You guys can imagine what it looks like. Okay, so we got the decals on where we think we want them. There's a bunch of different examples online you can find. I'm using a clear piece of tape here because this stars and bars goes into the servo pocket opening and we're afraid that's gonna buzz. So I'm gonna take this, I just applied it to the edge of the X-Acto knife and I'm using the static electricity. See how it's holding it up? I can grab that. And I'm just gonna come up here and just tape that whole section to itself to improve the odds of not buzzing. And it might still buzz anyway, but I don't want that to flop because it's gonna look bad too. So as you can see, we've got, we did down here the numbers. We did C's here. This is supposed to be 310 over there or vice versa, but we didn't have enough of that size of 310. So then we found a few of them that had, I wanted something on the vertical stabilizer, so we went ahead and put a C on there, which did mimic a real example. But especially, I love the 310s on the front. That is so cool. And then in the real Corsair, these of course are active and they would open up and allow for additional airflow to cool the engine, which is really cool. I think it looks really good, really good. Really happy with the way it turned out. Okay, so the next step for us is basically gonna do radio setup. The radio setup on this should be pretty straightforward, so we're gonna pause, get cleaned up, and come right back. Okay, so before we do radio setup, we have to mark the CG. We always seem to forget to do that in the build. So it's 70 to 76. That's 73 plus or minus 3 millimeters. Okay, so we'll set this to 70. And then it's from the leading edge of the wing. The wing is pretty flat here. I'm gonna mark the top just so I can see it easily. And I think you're gonna have to hang the plane upside down. Okay, so try to go to this low point here. So just make like a little bump. Okay, and then I'll do that on both sides actually. I'm trying to get it about the same spot on the wing position there. Okay, and then the back mark is gonna be 76. Unlock this thing and walk it back to 76. Good enough. Gosh, that's such a small difference. Sorry.
Yeah, it is.
I'm trying to make sure because it's only 6 millimeters, so yeah, it's just like not quite to the line, which is too bad. The panel lines are so dang close to where the CG mark is. Okay, so you guys can see I've got the CG marked in such a way that it's easy to see from the top. And that's gonna give us a place to balance and you'll be able to use your finger to feel where that is. And so they recommend for battery size on this plane, obviously you can use 3 or 4S, but what size do they recommend, camera crew? I don't remember actually reading that now that I say that. I was gonna start with 2200 4S.
Yep.
So 2200 4S 30C, Gen 2 Smart Pack. This one's seen a lot of use. Go ahead and pop this off. Two straps here. Now we have to put this in to do our radio setup. We're not gonna plug in the battery. You don't have to use smart batteries in these, but you'll get even more telemetry data from the pack if you use a smart battery. I'm just gonna go straight in the middle and I'm not even gonna feed it through properly yet because I don't know if that's gonna be right. And I've only got one strap tight. Just to simulate the way the wires are gonna be when they're plugged in, I'll just land the negative side because you can plug that in, just half of it. All right, so let's see how this balances out with ordnance. Okay, with the gear up, we're tail heavy on both positions. So we're gonna have to bring that battery forward a little bit or put a bigger battery in. I was thinking 3200 4S might be a good place to start actually. Okay, so let's see how that looks. It wasn't like a huge amount of tail heaviness, but it was definitely some bit. Okay, so I'm kind of running almost out of strap on the back strap here. The closer strap to the center of the plane. So we'll see, that should give us enough to test the CG. Then I like to mark inside. On the back hole, we're even. On the front hole, we're just a little bit tail heavy. Curious what it'll do with the ordnance off. Because I think that's a little bit after the CG. Meaning it should go a little bit more nose heavy now. Okay, so on the back, on the front hole, we're tail heavy. On the back hole, we're nose heavy. So we've got that balanced. Okay, so we'll just go without the ordnance for now.
And your gear is gonna come forward quite a bit too, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I guess the truth is I wanna make sure I can get on and off the ground and the gear will be down. So that's a good point. But let's just go ahead and assume this is gonna be right. And it's pretty windy out there, but we might try for a flight today and, or we might have to wait. It was pretty crazy when we started our planning for the day. Okay, so we've got that pulled fairly tight. And then this one's just kind of awkward to get to because it's just inside of the lip there. And that's with it being on a plane stand. So it's gonna be worse. Yeah, it's just like awkward to get in there. I wonder if I'm gonna have to use forceps or something to tighten this back strap. No, I've got it in there. I'm controlling the plane by the battery, so. Okay, well, I mean, it's fine for what we're doing. Now, I've got it on the plane stand, which is not necessarily always the way we do it for our startup procedure, but because the nature of this plane, I gotta let the landing gear come out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and just leave that canopy off. And we got the CG worked out. I suppose I suggested marking this, so maybe we should mark it, huh? 2200 4S. So this is what I do. I take the marker and I bring it, I mark what direction, what placement I've got it, so that I don't have to check the CG every time. So there's an arrow that indicates what direction the wires come out. And then I'll write like 2200 milliamp hour 4S, okay? Now, if you did a bigger battery, you may be able to center that in the tray. So I'm thinking the 3200 4S might be a better fit just because you can put it in there straight on the center of that battery tray. So we'll see. We'll probably fly on 3200 and 2200 just to see how things go. But for now, we're gonna do radio setup. So radio setup on these new planes is relatively easy. And we usually just go through the computerized transmitter setup on page 4 in this particular manual. Okay, so it comes up with whatever plane you were using last. You can hit these two together to go to model select, add new model, create acro. You can also hit cancel and go to function list, scroll all the way down, system setup, disconnect RF, and then scroll down to the model. Create, takes a second for this to happen. Okay. So model type, if you reset that, it'll reset everything. Model name, okay, so this is gonna be the e-flite F4U Corsair. And how do they do that? Is it F4U-4? F4. So I'm using the legacy keyboard, so we'll type that in and come right back. All right, so F4U-4 Corsair 1.2 meter V2. I had to take out the dash because of the nature of the length of this. Okay, so we'll go back. aircraft type. We want one aileron, one flap, a normal tail, and yes, there is an F4U Corsair in here. There it is, sweet. Okay, so now over here, this is gonna tell you most of these settings. They recommend high rates at 100, low rates at 70. We don't do that. I'll show you what we do. And then this is where we are because we're the NX8. So we'd be, yep, so that's right. Okay, servo setup, we need a reverse gear, flaps, speed 2, no tie for elevator. Weird. I don't know if they're not sharing or if they just don't need it. So we're gonna have a flight mode set up. Switch 1, this is gonna be gear, so we gotta do safe up here. So they're gonna be 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then you can do spoken flight mode here if you want, which is gonna allow you to type in what you want to say. So in this case, you're gonna double click that, clear it, and then I'm gonna set AS3X up here, and that becomes like the flight mode that commands AS3X. This is just a name, okay? So it's not actually doing AS3X or commanding that it goes to AS3X. This is just my own label for it. Just to be clear, so AS3X, we'll just hang with it for this here.
Okay.
AS3X. And then you can go and scroll all the way to the bottom of the list, and it'll say AS3X mode, and then the gal will call it out. If you see it, let me know.
You have to go past the waypoints.
There's save. AS3X. Now, I don't know. I think this one's going to be just off. Of course, I don't ever really run it off. And then you can do silence, or you can do, I think there's one that says off as well. It does say off, not low.
I think there's one that says off.
There's silence too. There it is. Okay. Then this one's going to be safe. So as you can see, I've gotten to the point now where I've done it so many times that it comes pretty quick. But you could set up a template and just pull this out every time, which is what I would do if I wasn't doing it for the camera here. Okay, so safe, and then of course scroll all the way down again. A lot of choices. I think you can also download more sounds into here too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, now remember, that doesn't do anything. That's just labels, okay? Then channel assign, switch B. I don't want to be tied to auxiliary 2, so I'm just gonna inhibit that. It's gonna end up being my flaps. And then right knob, I think auxiliary 3 is gonna end up being tied to switch D. So the flight mode will actually be commanded there, okay? So now when we walk out to the regular screen, we've got, the first thing we had to do is throttle cut, which I wish was a default to be on. See, it's working. Turn that off. Whoops, I hit the G switch. Working, okay. Why the heck is the center tone on? I never turned that on. Oh no, you know what that is? That's a timer. Timer, I'm gonna activate that for 1 out. We'll set it to, do they give us a time? I don't know, it's not gonna matter, but we'll set it to 5 minutes for now because I guarantee you it's gonna be longer than that anyway. And we're gonna set it at some point. 10 seconds I want voice, so it's countdown, and then tone and vibrate with expiration and a tone every minute thereafter, okay?
I don't think they're recommending a time when they have the avian light now.
Yeah, right. Okay, throttle cut's on. Gear switch needs to be switched. Servo setup. Reverse. Gear. Okay, so that's reversed. So as per this, now let's go down to flap mode. Well, let's do dual rates and expo. I'm gonna forget that otherwise. So on ailerons, this is the way we do it. That's a little bit different. Switch F. I'm gonna set it to 5. The middle setting is gonna be 10. And the top setting, the most expo and the lowest rates are gonna be 20. Plus 90%. Okay, that's where we start. We have about half, we have about double. Okay, that's what we do on all 3 of the control channel axis. And we do that for a reason. That's because we have somewhere to start, and then we can always come back to a lot less, or we can go up to a little bit more. And then when we land after the first flight, then we make our adjustments from there. We still have to hook up the elevator as well, so let's not forget that. The reason we wait to do that is because if you start it with safe on, then it'll move the elevator. And we want to make sure it's neutral. Okay, so there we go. So same for all 3 axis. Now flat mode, we're going to turn to switch B. Position 1 is -100. Okay. And position 2 is going to be +100. With a speed of 2. What a quick setup. Wish they were all this simple. Okay, throttle cut's on. Everything's ready to rock and roll. Timer's working. Okay, so now what we can do is we can click and we can go down to bind and just prepare ourselves, and then we'll show you the bind procedure right now. Bind procedure is easy on the new ones. Obviously keep clear of the prop just in case something goes horribly wrong. I've tested to make sure I'm gonna be safe and clear. And then I've also got control of the aircraft. Worst case scenario, you plug the thing in and it starts running and you can't stop it. Just wait till the battery dies, okay? That's never happened to us, and the whole time we've done this, we've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of planes. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna plug this in. It should automatically go into bind mode after pressing this button. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and scroll down to bind. Now it's gonna dance once for AS3X, once it's gonna do auto config for the telemetry, and then twice when we do safe. Okay, so first things first, let's check control channels, make sure we're going the right direction, get our AS3X and everything. Roll left, roll right. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps, awesome. Elevator's obviously not working because it's not hooked up. Rudder left, rudder right. Okay, there's a little bit of kick to the right. We're gonna leave that this time because on the Commander, we mechanically trimmed that out, and guess what? We needed it. So we're gonna leave it on this one and just see what happens, because when I took that Commander off, I had tons of trim, and then I ultimately ended up putting almost exactly what the mechanical trim was back into it. Okay, so let's look at this real quick before we go any further. Elevator is supposed to be in, they suggest the elevator in, whoops, where is that? It says where to put them. Oh, there we go. Okay, so elevator is supposed to be in the outside hole. Okay, on this end. So the easiest way to do that, and by the way, we haven't tested throttle cut, so let's test throttle cut. Yep, we're good. Throttle cut's off. And I'm gonna just make sure throttle's working, which it is. Throttle cut's back on and tested, cleared the timer. All right, so this needs to go to the outside hole. We don't want that elevator going up like that, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this rubber actually to help me hold. 3 points of contact. We're going to the outside hole. Still lifting it too much. One more half, one more full. Ooh, that's gonna be good right there. Look at that. Nope, we need more. Probably another full turn. There's half, there's a full. Let's see how that looks. Does that look pretty close? Or more? Half?
More.
1/2 more? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, there's half. Okay, I think that's where it needs to be. Okay, so now pop that through. Gotta be kind of careful, because if you break that ball off the end of your control horn, you'll be in trouble. It will not work very well. So I'm gonna come to this side so I can see better. As you can see, that ball's having trouble fitting through the hole. So I'm gonna try to be real careful I don't break it off. Ooh, man, that barely made it through. There's like blue plastic in there. Do you see that?
I did.
Okay, then this is gonna clip on there, no problem, and then we'll run this back all the way, just shy of the control arm, so that there's no binding when I actuate the elevator. Okay, so we're good there. So now let's double check. Elevator up, elevator down, roll left, roll right, yaw left, yaw right, takeoff flaps, Landing flaps, absolutely gorgeous. Okay, now let's cycle the gear. Gear up, gear down. Oh yeah, you see how they rotate at the end? Love it, so cool. Amazing. Okay, so gear down. Now we can go ahead and get into the safe setup part. The safe setup's real easy on this plane, as it is with all the bind-in flies. We're pretty much to the point now where you could go take off if you weren't gonna use safe. But we're gonna have safe active on this, even if we don't really use it. Okay, we'll put these back on too so you can see what they look like. And there evidently is a correct side to these. I don't know, I don't think there is. That one snapped, it's so weird. Mm-hmm. It didn't break, I thought it broke, but it didn't break. It just made that weird pop. Okay, so we'll just put that back there. Oh, that thing is so gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so in order to finish the safe setup, there's a couple different ways you can do this. I always like to have the plane pointed away from me just so it's easy to see what's going on. You can tell what direction everything's moving. Okay, so roll left, roll right, elevator up, elevator down, yaw left, yaw right. So I'm gonna click and scroll down to forward programming. It's connecting, gyro settings, safe select. Turn it on, it's now on. You'll note that the tail dropped when I did that, because look at this. Man, that's like way steep. Hopefully that doesn't cause us problems. Okay, so then we're gonna go safe select channel. We're gonna change that from inhibit to auxiliary 3. Okay? So it's just AS3X on. So might as well turn that off.
Safe mode. Off. AS3X.
See how that safe is on now? So I gotta flip my switch output. So there's two ways to do that. The easiest way to do it is to go to this Servo Setup, travel, and reverse auxiliary 3. Okay. Now just so you can see what it looks like, I just happen to have them backward. Okay. So we're gonna go into safe select. So my call outs are the same though.
Off. Safe mode.
Safe is on.
Off.
AS3X is off.
AS3X mode.
Yep. So safe select is on, but it's not turned on. Make sense?
Off. Safe mode.
Okay, here's how you can also tell. Elevator, not much movement.
Off. AS3X mode.
Okay. Roll, lots of movement. Safe has less movement. Okay. Rudder, less movement. Okay. So that's one way you can tell. Now the other way you can tell, throttle cut's on and tested, is you can take your plane and flip it upside down. If you're in safe, the ailerons will try to level the plane. Also, you can look at the elevator. The elevator is trying to level the plane to neutral. Okay? So there you have it, guys. Pretty simple setup. This thing is ready to rock and roll. So I think we are gonna get ourselves ready to go out and maiden this thing right now. Can't wait to share that with you. In fact, this one, we're gonna have a little bit of waiting time, which I hate. But this plane is gonna be great. We hope you guys loved the video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, also give us a thumbs up. Thank you for doing that. And then if you wanna help support our channel financially, the best thing you could do is buy the planes that you like that we review here on the channel. And if we don't review them or we haven't gotten to it yet, or maybe our video hasn't published yet, we have master links at the very top of our list in the description down below. If you check the video description, it should start with all the different companies we work with, like the master links, and then you just follow that. And then when you go to the checkout and everything, they know that we sent you, and then we get small commissions. That's how we fund our channel. And if you don't want to support us in that way, we understand. There's also Patreon and PayPal if you prefer. And we know some of you guys overseas, it's really expensive to order through the links because of the shipping limitations. So you may have to buy it from a local hobby shop or whatever. So we appreciate that. And there's always a million different good reasons, but we appreciate you being here, watching the videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe. and click the bell for notifications because we have so much more coming for you. Spring 2020 is gonna be a good spring for radio controlled airplanes. I can already tell it's been a really windy spring.
Yeah.
And so we are very happy. And by the way, we forgot one major thing. Thrust reverse.
I was gonna mention it.
So stay tuned, radio setup is not done. Here we go. Okay, so first things first, throttle cut's off. Nice breeze, cools us off. Okay, throttle cut's on. Okay, let's scroll over. You can't enter now. Low throttle, up elevator, left aileron. This will not work. This only works within the first few seconds of power up. I'm just gonna show you what it looks like if you're doing it wrong. Nothing, 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 nothing. Okay, so it never goes to step 2. So I'll show you how to do the thrust reverse right now. Unplug your power. We wanna commit everything to memory anyway, so plug it back in. 2 dances. Safe select is now on. We already know that. Okay, so down and left. It's gonna go to step 2 in a second. Down and right. And then it's gonna enter the setup menu. Now you can let go. Okay, so brake disabled. You're using this stick to move through the options. Proportional, reverse. And then there's a brake force. I think it's supposed to be 11. I always just leave it at 0 because I don't really want to brake. But the brake is supposed to prepare the motor for thrust reverse. Do they talk about it in here at all? I don't think they do. But yeah, there's something about brake force 11. I don't know. We'll just, we'll come back to that. Cutoff type, not gonna mess with. Auto calculate. You can change your cutoff voltage. Your BC voltage is 6. Startup time, soft. Timing, you can change your rotation if you want. Okay, and all these settings you can set in your avian programming here. Thrust reverse channel 7. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. Do we have a channel? Do we have a channel? Auxiliary 3. Did we set auxiliary 3 to B? We still have auxiliary 2.
We still have auxiliary 2.
Yeah, auxiliary 2. So channel 7 is auxiliary 2, so we're good. So we can, and remember, you're not scrolling, you're using this to navigate. So exit with save. Just gonna hold the plane, make sure. Okay, it's just the ESC resetting, not the receiver, okay? Now we can scroll back to the regular screen, clear our timer, elevator up, elevator down, yaw left, yaw right, roll left, takeoff flaps, landing flaps. Everything's working. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna shut off our throttle cut while securing the plane. We have forward thrust, okay? So channel 7, so let's, throttle cut's on. Go to the monitor, what controls channel 7? Nothing. Channel 8 is turning safe on and off. So what I wanna do is I wanna go into System Setup, Disconnect RF. I'm gonna go to Channel Assign. So instead of inhibiting that, I wanna set it to Switch G, okay? So Switch G is now controlling Auxiliary 2. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Monitor and we're just gonna watch Auxiliary 2. Now I already know the answer to this question, but throttle cut is off. I've secured the plane. We have forward thrust. Forward thrust. Reverse thrust. Show them the bananas. Sounds different. Forward thrust. Okay. So now, what that tells us is that in this configuration, we're going forward. In this configuration or this configuration, we're going reverse. So what we can do is there's 2 different ways to do this. You can go to digital switch setup and you can switch it this way. So select the switch you want, which is this, okay? Then you can go to that condition. Ooh, there we go. So G, I want forward to be forward thrust, so -100. Throttle cut is on, by the way. Throttle cut discipline is important in this step. I'm gonna warn you right now, if you cut yourself, you need to be careful because you can, and people do cut themselves, okay? So remember, this is not the amplitude of throttle. This is just the direction by which it's going to move, okay? So this is setting whether it's going forward or it's going backward. It's not the amplitude of throttle. Amplitude of throttle is still controlled by this. We have set up what we have coined this term pilot fatigue setting. There's next. Oh, cool, look at that. I didn't know we had all those. Okay, so now that should make this operate backward. Now, why wouldn't you just reverse the channel, Brian? You could do that, but then you're in that ambiguous middle position. I don't like being in the middle. I wanna know I'm at plus 100, or I'm at minus 100, or I'm at minus 100, because it's a 3-position switch. Now, when we do pilot fatigue, we do pilot fatigue all the time on planes that are really highly sensitive landers or EDFs. Because if you go throttle cuts off and you go like this on a pilot fatigue setting, that prop would be going full speed backward right now. That's kind of dangerous. So we try not to even show how to do that, but you can figure it out. It isn't rocket science. So if you were gonna do that, go for it. I'm not gonna show you how to do it. Do it yourself, cut yourself, then I'm not to blame. But in this case, it's controllable thrust right now. So throttle cut is off. This would roll backward. Okay, so we have reverse thrust, and then we're gonna go to the middle setting, and guess what? Still reverse thrust, okay? And then we're gonna go to forward thrust, and then we're gonna be in forward thrust, okay? So throttle cut's on. And just so you guys know, I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence with that. It's just more a matter of, you know, like we don't want people to get hurt. It's always bad. It's kind of like a black eye for the hobby when people get hurt. So, you know, be careful, try not to cut yourself. If you want to do thrust reverse and do the pilot fatigue setting, maybe reserve that for the EDF just because there's no chance of cutting yourself on it. It's extremely limited. I mean, you'd have to really screw something up if you stuck something long enough in there to get cut off. You know, that's between you and your friends. So anyway, what I would say is for now, I have controllable reverse thrust, but if you were gonna do pilot fatigue on this, then what you would need to do is then make an additional mix that would force this throttle full when this switch is in the back condition. Okay, just so you guys know, if you wanna know how to do that and you know you wanna dig a little deeper, maybe just learn something about it, we've done it on the Habu SS, we've done it on the Viper 90, which we would do a second thoughts on that plane, except that they're still out of stock. The 80mm F16, we've done it on...
Do we do it on the F18, or is that too old?
No, I don't think the F18 had the newer avians. We did it on the A10.
Yep.
So pilot fatigue is basically when you're coming into land, all you have to do is just pull that thing back when you touch down.
Yep.
And boom, full throttle. And then you got to get on it quick so it doesn't like roll off your landing strip too, which is kind of cool. And throttle cut still works with that. You have to make sure throttle cut is always going to work.
Yep.
Very important test. Okay, so without further ado, guys, this plane is ready to fly. We're excited to have you with us here on Brian Phillips RC. If you're new to the channel, we appreciate you very much. Stick around. There's so much more to come. We have like 1,500 plus videos about radio controlled airplanes, aircraft, just in general, just the whole lifestyle of aviation. And we're doing PPG now too, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna try to get a little bit more footage for you guys as I progress through it. I'm brand new, I'm like a baby in the hobby. And so it's gonna be a lot like what we did 7 years ago with this in regard to the PPG stuff, but it's not gonna replace this at all. That's never been our plan and we don't intend to do it, but our property here, we share a little bit about what we do to keep the property ready for the aviation experience too. And that happens a little bit in spring. So sometimes we get some, there's usually like 4 or 5 people that really like make a public exit. Like I'm leaving because you reviewed a chainsaw. And I'm like, well, okay, see ya. But the thing is, it's part of the lifestyle. We're trying to share that, you know, with you guys. I mean, when you go out to your club and, you know, you got to jump on the lawnmower and mow the grass. I mean, nobody reviews that, but it is part of what we're doing here. So we do share that experience with you and we hope that you get at least a small little bit of appreciation. And for those of you that aren't like really following along, haven't followed us for 7 or 8 years, watching us go through the progression to where we are now, you may not get any value out of that. We get it. but just maybe skip over those videos. There's so much more good quality content coming about radio controlled aircraft. And then of course, full scale is what we're working toward as well. And we're gonna have a landing strip on the property at some point. So I'd like to have an ultralight out there in the next couple of years. So for now, we've got this, and this is what we're doing, and we love it, and it's awesome, and it's definitely one of the best, most exciting hobbies you can have. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. This F4U Corsair is beautiful, second to none. 1.2 meter size class is a great size class. Relatively easy to transport, relatively inexpensive. NX8 has been an amazing transmitter. It's been working really good for us. Definitely like the NX8. If you're concerned about running out of channels, we had a plane we did recently where we did finally run out of channels. But we did a strange configuration on that one. So the thing is, that's now 2 planes out of like 78 planes or something.
Well, I think you've got like 103.
No, that number's wrong. That number's moved up. But anyway, let's just call it 70s, mid 70s.
And it's only when you do a super weird wing type that's complicated. And
you don't have to always do that. You can always get around that. So the truth is, I think it was the Hangar 9 P47. And then we did this stick 14. So anyway, it's been great. We've been really happy with it. And probably the biggest, well, let's just say the smart batteries have been very good. They've been very, very good. I used to badmouth them like crazy when we first came out because I thought it was just like the hugest ripoff ever. They have turned out to be amazing. They last longer, they run harder, they almost never, it seems like you can run like 3 times as long on them. Now, don't mark my words, you can still destroy them, you can still puff them, you can still catch them on fire, you can still do all the stupid things you can do if you try hard enough. And we have tried and we have succeeded a few times. But the thing is, we've had really, really good luck with them, and we feel like it's even though they're a premium price point, they've actually proven to be worth the premium and then some. So you end up with an overall better experience dollar for dollar. And you can have a lot less batteries. And believe me, from a guy who's had probably thrown away more batteries than most people, I can tell you this. Batteries that go bad sitting on a shelf are no good to you. Batteries that get used, even if they're more expensive, and this is something that was a hard lesson to learn when I was first getting into the hobby, and it's funny because we're doing this plane. This was probably like my 7th or 8th plane, I'm thinking. No, it wasn't even that deep in, was it? Maybe the 10th, I don't know. It was somewhere sub 10. Yeah. Because when I was starting to fly, I started on the Sport Cub S and an Inum. So I was flying a little 10-gram plane around inside the living room. And then I had the Sport Cub S. Then we got the Delta Ray. Actually, I crashed my neighbor's Delta Ray, broke it in half. I felt so bad. I owe that kid an airplane someday.
He's not a kid anymore
either. He's not a kid. He's adult. He's like married and stuff, I think now. Well, anyway, getting back to the point. So we did that. I think we did that so we could get a transmitter. And then I ended up with a P51 Blondie, which is a 1.2 meter, AS3X only. It was like one of those things. I ended up with a Carbon Cub SS UMX, right? Yeah, it was a red and silver. Yep. I mean, that only had AS3X, and I was like blown mind. I can't believe I can do this. I had a Habu UMX. These were all kind of like the beginning stages for me into the addiction. And next thing you know, now we're hundreds of planes deep, and it takes up a lot of room and life, but it's cool coming full circle on a couple of these, where we go back to the vintage days of Brian Phillips RC, which ironically enough, you can go back and watch in the playlist, my original findings, and you can see the differences between then and now, which is kind of cool. So if you're into that sort of thing, or if you followed us for a long time, you might get a kick out of that. Any other thoughts, camera crew, on the F4U Corsair? I'm excited. This is one of my favorite planes, so. It looks cool, and it's gonna look good in the air, and I think you guys are gonna really like it. It's a well-built plane. It's got all the features you expect right now, but it's in an old, trusty, amazing Warbird, and I just don't think there's a lot left to be desired on this plane. So stay tuned, so much more to come from Brian Phillips RC. Leave your questions and comments down below, and don't forget to buy from the links. You'll help support us. It really does help. Stay tuned.